there's audio. It's working.
It's working?
It's working.
Shawarma.
Working. It's working. Shawarma.
Should I text Rick Words and tell him we're going on?
Yep. So it is officially running live. So we know. Okay.
Post this to the Facebooks.
You want it?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. We're on television again. This is the YT, right?
The what?
YouTube's.
Yeah.
We gotta do a sound check.
Yeah, boy. Cool.
Ain't no holler back, girl. Go.
Alright, ready to do a microphone test?
Microphone check.
Oh, nice.
This is a microphone test. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Microphone test. 1, 2.
Microphone test. 1, 2.
Oh, damn! I still got whiskey.
In the jarro. Dude. Oh, nice.
It's terrible.
That would be.
This is a microphone test. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Microphone test. 1, 2.
Microphone test. 1, 2.
Good enough.
Damn, that was terrible. Made me cry.
Spoiler alert for those watching on the YouTubes. Four Roses, not great.
Not good at all.
No.
In fact, I hate it. Al says I miss you guys. Come on down, Al. You'll get here in
I
time.
miss you too. We were just talking about how awesome your steak was earlier.
We were talking about your meat.
We always
that?
we like to talk about Al's meat.
Is that yours?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, all right. Wait. That's so bad it made me cry.
That was really not good whiskey.
I know, it really wasn't. That's a shame. Oh, lost it. Found it. Well, I lost her. And then I flounder.
Let's see what you did there, Jay.
All right, we all shared on Facebook.
I shared it.
You shared it. Did we text Rick Wirtz? It was Rick.
Oh, am I supposed to share this?
I always do. To what?
To my Facebook page.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing that.
We'll do that.
I'm doing that now.
I
How was I supposed to know?
didn't mean to kill him.
Jeez.
Hi everybody, if you're watching right now, we're going to be going live here very shortly.
I'm
You
not
can know
sure
we're live
how
right
to
now.
do
We're going to
that.
start recording here any minute now.
Any minute. You're not sure how to do that?
Okay.
You go to YouTube.
I can just hit Michael Cavino's
Oh,
share.
yeah, you could do that.
Share mine.
Okay. Why don't I go share yours? Where is it?
I did it already. Now you can share mine.
You can share him sharing mine, sharing yours.
Okay, I'm going to share.
It'll be like a Shorgy. Is that a dog?
Him share. That's a,
Join us. We're live. Isn't that scary? Share. I actually think I just shared Mikey's.
See?
Sorry.
Everybody does it. Everybody's doing it.
Ooh, work email. Did you mean neutral? Okay. I am cleared for takeoff.
Let me go check my security camera and make sure the dogs haven't destroyed the entire house.
Wow, there's 4 people watching. Holy hell.
It's too many.
Hi, people.
Sounds like there's dogs right outside the door.
I know. It sounds like that. Remarkably.
Okay, well, I'm ready to
Back
you
in
guys.
the year. You got your soundboard up?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that's a thing.
I got it.
And whenever you guys are ready, I will hit the big red button that says record.
Records.
Records.
Oh, I made up the minutes and crap and never shared it.
I know. That's what I've been waiting for.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm terrible. We know this.
You're just shit, Jay. You shit on everything.
I do. Sorry, boys. Episode Nerds 37.
Nerds.
Nerds. Send a copy. The diff. Preparing the diff. We're really, really, prepared and ready to do this show all the time. It's fantastic.
We're on there right now.
When in that wiki. Here you go, boys.
Broke everything, Jay.
You broke everything?
I broke everything.
What'd you do?
We're just nothing. I wanted to look at it. I never looked at it.
I like it.
It's pretty. It's nice. It's no Dan Wesson 44.
Oh, speaking of which, Al found you a Dan Wesson 38 on the used gun page that he looks at all the time.
You should buy that.
They wanted, I don't think they wanted too bad of a price. I think it was less than $4.
I think I would need to first get a paycheck, which I still haven't gotten in 4 weeks. Which would be really cool if I would get one of those soon.
Nah, you don't need it.
What do you need that for?
Food for me, my dogs.
Just bought them biscuits. They can wait for this week.
Yeah,
Eat your dogs.
that's actually a good idea. I'll start with Gino. He's the fattest.
All right, we ready?
I'm ready.
Yep.
Hold on to your butts.
All right, ready? And we're going live in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jay from the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee here with another episode. This week, it's kind of a heavy one, so strap in. We're going to be talking all things that are good, and necessarily not always going to be good, but tonight they're going to be good. Before we move any further, that made no sense. I know. Sorry, I'm rambling. Let's introduce ourselves. Like I said, I am Jay. Across from me, in the chair, the handsome man, Captain Tight Pants. The winter is coming shirt that he designed on Redbubble. You can find that. The Sherwood Forest elf. I don't know what that means. Michael J. Covino, co-host and co-founder, Michael J. Covino.
Good evening, everybody.
And across from me, looking as handsome as ever. So subtle about it. The Red Warlock, the bearded one, the Professor, co-host and co-founder, John J. Feathers.
Hello.
And I am the guy from Ipanema.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah. Empanada Jones in this mother.
Jay.
Jay,
James.
That's Jay.
that's me. Moving right along, let's present arms. This week, I am once again presenting the Thesis BR9 Regent, and as you can see, it is clear.
And beautiful.
I love this gun.
It feels good.
Talking
in
to
the
Jay
hand.
McFalls last night, he's like, "How's that thing treating you?" I said,
Mhm.
"It's good."
Yeah. There's just something about that, the platform. I've never felt a more ergonomic pistol
Mm-hmm.
than the high power platform.
I finally got my my crossbreed holster for it, so I'm off of the shoulders and into the hip.
Wow.
It was like, as soon as I popped it in the holster, I was like, wow, boy,
Yeah.
is that weighty.
Yeah.
But then, like, after an hour or so, it was like, oh, yeah, second nature. Here we go.
It's a reassuring weight. Speaking of high power platforms,
Woo!
I am presenting the one, the only, the Browning High Power Mark III.
Yay.
Such a classic. Love
Love
that.
that gun.
Love that pistol.
Speaking of Mark, I am presenting the
Oh,
Dan. Not many people know his middle name was Mark.
Daniel Mark
Daniel
Wesson.
Mark Wesson, 44. And as you can see,
It is
It is clear.
clear
With
and
that spin.
spun.
Oh, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I have a few things to go over before we get to the most exciting part of our show.
And you know what? The exciting part of our show is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have been looking forward to this.
since it was originally brought to our attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but before we get there, the suspense is killing you, I know. Let me go over the meeting, the minutes. The big one that happened this week, which we were all pretty excited about, I do believe, is we finally made it to Spotify, one of the biggest music platforms and podcast services that you can find currently on the web, on your smartphone, wherever. We are officially on Spotify. So if you go and open up your Spotify app and type in the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee, not only does the playlist pop up, but also our podcast as well. So that was really cool. I don't know whether it was just the barrage of emails that they finally caved and let me do it, or what the deal was.
I think it was all the listeners that made it happen, barraging them with the requests.
I know what happened.
Thanks, Whisketeers.
Thanks,
Yay! So with that, my next, I'm going off the cuff here because I just remembered one, because you guys brought it to my attention earlier. This past Sunday, Whisketeer Ryan Weaver decided to host a few of us in his wonderful home. And
He's not just a whisketeer.
No, he's also a client.
He's a
That's not what we call them.
Yeah, he's a sexy motherfucker.
I was thinking patron.
Yeah, he is a patron.
But I mean, if we want to
yeah.
call him a sexy,
He
motherfucker,
welcomed us into his home.
that's fine, too. He is a suave son of a bitch.
There was about six Whisketeers in the room. It was pretty cool. We watched about 4 or 5 episodes of Firefly and decided that that was enough for one evening, and we will go back and hopefully do it again. If any of the Whisketeers out there listening would like to take part in that, just let us know. We'd love to have you. It was a really good time.
The next time I was cooking steak.
Yeah. 350. Oh, he's correcting me on my thing.
Oh, he'll get to it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm still waiting to hear back from the guys at Wiggle Whiskey. I have sent them a secondary follow-up email, but they have not yet responded to that. I don't know. I'm starting to get the feeling like maybe we've been shuffled under the
I don't know. I think maybe they're just catching up on past episodes.
Yeah, and we could do that.
They're tuning in right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I did speak to my Maker's Mark customer care representative. This is kind of an update news item, that they are going to reimburse us for that bad bottle that we purchased about 2 months ago or however long ago it was.
You know, that's not even the point of it, though. I'm just kind of more interested in what the deal with the bottle
Yeah, and that's
is.
what I even said that in the email. I said I don't. They asked me for the original receipt. I said I'm sorry, I don't have it.
Yeah.
But I took a picture of the current bottle at the current price, and I said, if this doesn't work, I said that's fine. I don't want the money. We want to know if we were right.
Right.
That's what we really want to know, and they haven't responded.
We may
to that.
never know.
Yeah, we may never know, but hopefully.
I don't think they're going to admit in writing that they had a bad batch, although it happens.
I'd like to know, what the issue was.
Yeah.
Where was the quality drop there?
So yeah, hopefully that gets they do answer that for us. That would be awesome if they would. And as always, let me
Further than when we did the sound check.
guys,
We did
we know that you remember all of our social medias, but for that new listener that may not be listening, where's the clicker?
Yeah, I was wondering where the clicker was. Take two. Take dose.
Jay talking take 2.
Jay talking, take 2.
For the new listeners at home, let me refresh your memory for the old and inform you for the new. We do have a Facebook page. We do have a Instagram, a Twitter. We do have the old email, which is WednesdayNightWhiskey@gmail.com. We have a Redbubble site. That's true. You can go on there and pick up any of our swag that we do have. Take a look through. There's a lot of stuff going on. You missed a hell of a deal this week if you weren't paying attention. They actually did 30% off of some shirts, which is the highest that I've seen them go.
Keep an ear to the ground because they've been known to do some Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals too.
Really?
Right.
So yeah, we'll be
It's coming up.
We'll be hitting you with those very soon. Don't you worry. We also have a Patreon, which as soon as we have some whiskey in these glasses, our current Patreon members, we will be toasting you. For those of you curious at home what a Patreon is, basically you give us your money, and we love you for it. To get there, you go to www.patreon.com and /WedNightWhiskey. You will find us, I swear. Give us a donation. It's a reoccurring donation that happens every episode. Basically, you pay us to listen to what we do, and it's kind of cool. We use that money to go to the cost to keep the show running. And yes, it is sometimes for whiskey, but no, it is not always the whiskey. We have a lot of overhead that you don't know about that goes on in the background.
I like to think of it more like they know what they're doing. They're helping us out.
Yeah.
That's what.
And we greatly appreciate it. We're really starting to pick up some head steam. So, head steam? Momentum?
That's nothing.
Nothing. I'm trying too hard.
Jay,
It's the
we're
Christmas
about
light.
to tell you can't talk anymore this
Can we
week.
turn the Christmas lights
Yeah.
off?
No, don't do it. Oh. Hey, there it goes. But yeah, send us your money. We will appreciate it. If you're
We'll
not,
put it to good use.
yeah, we really will. If you're not into the reoccurring donation thing, we do have a coffee site that is ko-fi.com. I almost forgot it there halfway through. Search the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee. Again, we will pop up. Send us a cup of coffee. It's an equivalent of about $2 to $3. A cup of coffee, so that will also help go to the cost of the show. And if you feel like cutting out that dirty old middleman altogether, which hey, that's how we prefer it, you can send us a direct link on our PayPal account. Which, if you are interested, send us a message, and we will give you the information how to do so. And I think that's it. Did I miss anything, boys?
You're getting good at the meeting in the minutes.
I
man.
like these media. I really don't. But we are semi popular, from what I understand. So might as well keep it up.
I'm just semi.
Heard that.
Whoop, whoop. And now for the moment that I know we've been waiting for quite some time,
Right.
and a very huge shout out goes to Whisketeer.
Extra big.
Extra big shout out to Whisketeer Jeremy Nixon. He went above and beyond and ordered this bottle for us. He has certain connections that I'm not even allowed to know about. But he did pull through. He got us this bottle, and we're pretty excited about it.
You know what the coolest thing about this podcast is? First off, but first of all, we get together and get to enjoy each other's company every week and sample some new whiskey. But an unintended and just sort of awesome side fringe benefit is we have met some cool folks through this. Jeremy Nixon being, a really big one. He's an awesome dude.
He really is.
Yeah. And, Jeremy Nelson's all right, too.
Johnny said, he's like, hey, I had to tell Jeremy that you guys inadvertently gave him a shout out in the last show. So without any further ado, Jason.
All right. There's not a whole lot of good actual information about this whiskey out there. I'm just going to go, preface this by saying that a lot of it is really just hype stuff.
Right.
It's media hype stuff. There's not a lot of good information on this whiskey, but the whiskey that we will be enjoying this evening, or not enjoying, depends on how it goes, is Blackened. Blackened whiskey is a collaborative effort between Metallica, I said it right, between Metallica and master distiller Dave Pickerel, who we'll have a little bit of news on here in a little bit. But David Pickerel is, or was, I don't know which way to phrase it here, an award-winning master distiller and an all-around distilling expert. Over the course of his career, Dave built and maintained some of the world's most noted distilleries. He's perhaps most widely known for his tenure as the master distiller of Maker's Mark. He established a standalone name for himself with his Vanguard rye whiskey, Whistle Pig, which a lot of people, we need to get some Whistle Pig because a lot of people really talk that stuff up. Among connoisseurs, Dave's highly regarded for the unique finishes, so that's something to keep in mind, that give his whiskeys a unique character all their own. Blackened, excuse me, is the end. No, Blackened.
Yeah.
Blackened is a blend. Blackened is a blend of straight whiskeys. That was just too.
That was too good.
Blackened is a blend of. Why don't they should do that, right?
We should write them.
Yeah, we should. Blackened is a blend of straight whiskeys finished in black brandy casks. Now, I'm assuming a black brandy cask is just a brandy cask that has been recharred.
Whoa, black brandy.
Yeah. It's a blend of bourbon, rye, and other whiskeys, all of which are unspecified. They don't tell you that information. These no age statement whiskeys are then blended and, like I said, finished in the black brandy casks. They're then, this is the very unique thing. Here's where we're getting to the point about the unique thing about this whiskey. They are then subjected to, and as the bottle says, they are remastered by Mr. Pickerel.
I just saw that and I was like, oh yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah. To a proprietary sonic enhancement system called Black Noise. Now, this is actually, there's some hype to this, but this is actually, there's some like really interesting stuff going on with this.
There's science behind it.
There's science
it's not
behind
just a
it.
gimmick. It sounds gimmicky.
It sounds gimmicky, but there's actually some. Dave Pickerel came up with a system and an idea for using sound, and I mean it's pretty proprietary, so I certainly don't know all the ins and outs of it.
Right.
But he used sound to agitate the whiskeys in the barrels and as they're finishing, which is something that we've actually talked a lot about, you know, the finishing process, and we've talked about using motion to do it. But this is a really interesting idea. It's a fantastic concept, using sound waves to enhance the finishing of the whiskey. So they called that system Black Noise. The whiskey is quote unquote pummeled by sound, specifically the music of Metallica, and quote, causing it to seep deeper into the barrel where it picks up additional wood flavoring characteristics, end quote. So that's really the big deal with Blackened. You know, it's brought to us by Metallica and Mr. Pickerel, and he's really, you know, Mr. Pickerel was the genius behind it, and his proprietary sonic enhancement system is really at the heart of what's going on. We do have an unfortunate thing to bring up regarding this whiskey. Sadly, on November 1st, Mr. Pickerel passed away, and I'm going to let Jay give some of the specifics, a brief little bio of Mr. Pickerel. But one thing that I did want to point out, I found this interesting and somewhat touching because, you know, the Metallica clan are a little close-chested. You know, I mean, they're everywhere and stuff, but they don't. They're often folks of few words, and they sort of when they make a statement, they mean it. You know, and they tweeted this on November 2nd, the day after he passed away. Quote, the Metallica family is stunned and in disbelief at the loss of our friend and partner, Dave Pickerel. And then this is the part that he was not only a mentor and a friend, we considered him a member of Metallica.
Wow.
So, I mean, for those folks, knowing, you know, how close-chested they've been in the past, to say that they really had, they must have had one hell of a good relationship with the guy, you know, and as Jay's going to point out here in a minute, his credentials are very esteemed, and I mean, he was the real deal as far as you know, being a big man in whiskey goes.
Yeah. So let's pop her open first, I think, and then because I think it's only fitting to toast him with the
some
whiskey.
Blackened.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives you a little John McFall memento there.
That's right.
Mine's in my book bag somewhere. I still have it.
Oh, one thing I'd like, perhaps before we do that, let's talk about the batches.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool.
That's a really cool thing. Okay, so I don't know about every bottle. I'm assuming on every bottle of Blackened. By the way, it's a nice bottle.
Yeah.
It's a really nice bottle. On every bottle of Blackened, there is a batch number. And the batches start at 81. I wonder why that is. So at any rate, you can actually find all the batches, the playlists that have been used to sonically enhance the whiskey. Now, the bottle that I have in front of me here is batch number 84. So if you go to the website and look up, you can look up whatever particular batch, you know, there have been so far. And we can even talk about some other batches. There's one that was done by the whole group. And then there's one that was done by each member of the band. And then I think there was one that was done by Dave Pickerel too. But the batch number we have is 84. And Batch number 84 was selected and arranged by Kirk Hammett. And the playlist that our particular bottle was subjected to was Eye of the Beholder. Awesome tune. One of my favorites, actually. Battery. The Four Horsemen. Whiskey in the Jar, which is so fitting.
Of course.
Lords of Summer. Of Wolf and Man, which is, in my estimation, one of the best and most overlooked Metallica tunes. Here Comes Revenge and Devil's Dance. So that's what finished and sonically enhanced this bottle here. You guys can find the other playlists too if you want to. They're published online. That's where I'm looking at it. So, you can find the playlist. But I think that's a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
And that's cool they make that available.
Yeah, it's cool. And like I said, it's kind of borderline gimmick, but we've talked about it on the show a few times about how there is some merit to the.
Well, I mean, Dave Picker, he. Oh, that was a nice sound, wasn't it?
Where's the other sound?
Hold on a minute. Let's do that again.
Mulligan.
Here, you got to pull it out.
That's what she said.
Oh. Ready? All right, let's listen to that pour.
For those of you wondering, yes, James Hatfield is in the room with us this evening.
We've got special guest James Hetfield this evening.
He left Lars in the car.
We didn't roll a window down.
Hot enough to cook an egg. Hot enough to fry a Dane's brain. No nose.
Oh no! Hope this doesn't harken to the tasting video.
Now here's before we even put to lips. Here's what I'm wondering about. Okay. None of this has been specified age, and I'm gonna say that if it was worth saying it, they'd have probably used that. My guess is that this is probably really immature whiskey.
Up to about in probably a 1 to 3 year.
That explains the fart joke. You said immature whiskey. No, it's just I was making fart jokes about it.
Yeah, that was immature. So my guess is it's probably yeah, Jay. That's actually immature. Fart jokes are actually
are they?
immature. Yeah, I know.
Well, shit.
Those ones too.
My guess is it's going to be probably harsh. Now, my question is, if we actually took some better, more matured whiskeys and subjected them.
He is, Kevin.
Enhancement.
Jason is really camera shy. He's actually over here where you can't.
What?
see
You
him.
can't see me?
No, Mr. Hatfield.
Oh, he's here. Hey, buddy.
Well, should we toast to the man himself?
There
What up, James?
Yeah, buddy.
Jimmy.
All right. So yeah, we should toast to Mr. Pickerel.
Mr. Pickle. And to our patrons.
And to our
Our
patrons.
patrons.
And to the... Let's get in here.
Wow. That is unique.
It's that.
Is it unique?
It's more complex than I thought it'd be. It's got many flavors.
It does.
Like it just keeps going from
It's
flavor
more
to
complex than I expected, but it's the complexity is not necessarily flavors that I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I will give it this too. It's not nearly as harsh a finish as I expected for what it is. Like, It's
No.
not burny. It's not hard. It's spicy.
Yeah, it's very spicy.
There's popcorn in there.
Dog's feet.
Dog's feet. Hog lips.
Taint.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of that acetone.
Yeah. I can taste a lot of pepper. Do you get pepper?
Little peppercorn in there. I get a real front. I get front heavy that acetone taste, but then it
It's
disappears.
more in the nose than in the finish.
Yeah,
It goes away really quick. It's almost like there's rye in there for sure,
yeah. There's definitely rye.
and I almost wonder if there's not. It's got that weedy like it. I never read anything about it, but it's got a weedier finish, kind of like a little bit more like the larceny taste to
And
it.
I was thinking larceny whenever
Yeah.
the finish, especially.
It's weedy.
Although
like
on
larceny.
the third sip, it didn't seem that bad.
I know.
I wish I could have had that third
I
sip.
was
the
already.
first
I was already. Wait a minute.
time.
I was all ready to just trash it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it a lot better than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I think we can go there, but at the same time, I just don't.
It's almost not like a whiskey. It's almost like a freaking liqueur. Like the taste is so all over the place.
It really is. It's got a very a big identity crisis.
It does. It doesn't know what it wants to be.
Well, I mean, I've made up my mind. I don't know if you guys want some time to discuss.
It's not.
I mean, it's like really all over the place.
I don't know.
I don't know
It's
what
not
to
getting
think.
high marks.
I don't know what to say or do with this thing. I can't pin it down, which is maybe that's good. I feel like it's a chameleon whiskey. Like every time I drink it, it's something else.
And I don't mean to sound like that pretentious hoe bag
How can you?
that
not?
said,
How
that
can you not?
it was, very pedestrian and predictable.
Whoa! Did you just go there?
No, I'm not calling it that.
You went pretentious hoe bag.
I kind of want to call it hype.
Well, that's what it is.
Oh, it's obviously
Yeah, it's just-
yeah.
The thing is, the only difference between this and Conor McGregor's whiskey is some of us like Metallica.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we'd be
fair enough.
proper 12 or whatever.
But also, Conor McGregor doesn't have Dave Pickerel.
True.
That's
I
true.
mean, that's true.
Which is, I don't want to. I guess I'll say it. It's kind of disappointing that for a man with as many accolades as this guy as he has, that this wasn't better.
Well, who's to say in a few years down the road that this isn't a decent whiskey? But
Yeah, once it ages a little bit.
See, that's
sure.
what I think. I think it's too immature of a whiskey. I think if you took mature whiskey and finished it that way, this
Exactly.
would be a much better product.
Exactly.
I'm going to say that the jury's still a little out. It is a really young whiskey. I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean, it was like as soon as it was announced, people wanted to get their hands on it.
yeah.
So
I mean,
how
how
could they
long has it
not?
even been announced?
I mean, even look at the Cochos.
Yeah, right.
They can't keep their whiskey on the shelves either.
And you can't even get this in Pennsylvania yet.
No.
Like the distribution isn't even set up yet.
Yeah.
This is a really young whiskey.
Which this is a Pennsylvania exclusive.
That's right.
Well, I'll start.
Yeah, go
reviews.
So I guess we're going bourbon scale because
Yeah, we have to go bourbon scale, and I will talk about a little about the fact that I believe that it was kind of pushed to the masses because of what it is,
absolutely.
and so that has to be reflected in the taste and obviously the quality of the whiskey. It's almost like how you go to a concert and you spend $50 on a T-shirt
Mhm,
because you're there.
mhm.
Well, the whiskey's on the shelf, so it's there. It's available, so people want it. And
Yeah.
they'll pay whatever for it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the greatest quality. That being said, it's not the greatest quality. We mentioned the complexity, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. Just because
It's just all over
complex
the place.
doesn't mean it's good complex.
Although the more I drink it, it is getting more stable. I think my tongue's stabilizing
Maybe.
to it. Yeah.
But my initial gut feeling is to give it a 53.
Okay.
J-Bo, you go next.
I wasn't quite that low,
Yeah.
but it's not much better. My first thought was 61,
Okay.
and I think that's being generous.
I like the finish, and I like the fact that it's complex. In it, I get what you're saying. You don't like the complexity of it.
Well, the thing is, I like complex whiskeys and I like complex scotches, but I don't think that you can be complex just for the sake of being complex.
Right. That was a complex statement.
Yeah. I did it on
Um,
purpose.
I think it's interesting. I like there might not even be any in there. I don't know, but I like the fact.
We
that-
will, Kevin. Don't worry.
What's that?
He wants us to add a few drops to see if it opens up.
I
Okay.
already did,
Oh, did you?
Kevin. Yeah, I did. It is palatable now. I wouldn't change my grade on it, but it kind of mellows it out a little bit. It gets rid of some of the complexity if you do add a couple drops to it.
I'm kind of liking where it's at. Definitely, it's not my favorite whiskey by any stretch, but the more I drink it, the more I like it. I'm gonna give it a 72.
72.
I think I like it a lot more than it's refreshing.
Well, the average is that from us it gets a 62 out of 100. Do you give it a star?
No.
Jason.
I wouldn't recommend it or give it a star to people. I mean, I think it's interesting.
If
Yeah.
you're a Metallica fan, it's worth it for the appeal. I mean, I'd empty the
I
bottle.
kind of
and
was
put it
gonna.
on
If
my
you were
shelf.
gonna give it a half star, I was gonna give it a
I'll
half
go with a
star.
half star. I'll give it a half star.
But I don't know. I just
Here's what I think.
I'll give it a half. If you're going half, I think it deserves at least.
You want to go halves? We
it's
did
not-
on that sandwich earlier.
It's true. It's not terrible,
It's not.
but it's not good either. So
Now I think let it mature a little more. I like how
I'd
open
be
it
interested
is.
to see what
It's got a real open flavor. That's what I like about it.
It tastes young. I mean, that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
just- you can tell.
Right.
So that officially gives it 1 out of 3 stars, and we know we're not going to recommend this.
I mean, if you know what you're getting into,
If you like bad whiskey,
here's the thing: like, if you want to try it because you're like just piqued by out of curiosity, if you're a Metallica fan, yeah, but that's not a reason to recommend it to somebody that's a good whiskey.
So we're going to say that no.
I would say no with the caveat that you know that you're getting a immature whiskey.
Right.
That's what you're getting.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So I'm putting it down as a no. That's the official statement.
Quick before we switch gears, one of our Patreon members has a birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
So Shannon Hoffman, your birthday's
I
tomorrow.
wish we had a better whiskey to toast
Yeah.
I
with.
do too.
Happy birthday, Shannon!
Happy birthday.
And to other Patreon members, Rick Wirtz, Ryan Weaver,
Mr. Knoll,
Scott Noel.
Mario.
Mario Ciccarella.
Is that all of them? Keep
Yes.
signing up for our Patreon. I
Yeah.
want to forget more names.
And James Hetfield.
James Hetfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would add. Rick Work says he would add 1 ice cube.
That's it.
Like
you know?
what ice cube, Rick? Like late 80s ice cube
Yeah, right.
or like mid 90s?
I don't know. I don't know if adding water to this is going to help it.
I
I
added a little bit. It seemed to have taken for me that pepper taste out of it,
yeah.
so it makes it better.
It
but it
balances
doesn't.
the complexity, but it doesn't change the flavor.
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't change my grade.
Right.
It's interesting. I'll give it that.
But you're right, Rick. It would definitely make it more palatable if you add an ice cube. I will agree with that.
It's not harsh though. That's
No.
what surprised me. I expected it to be like
And I will also say this. This was kept in my car all day too. So it's been slowly coming up to room temperature for like the past hour or so. So it's still kind of chilled, which I think helps it in this case.
In this
I'm
case, I
afraid
think
to
it
find
does.
out what this just at room temperature would taste like.
right.
So I don't know. It's
I think the
it's a bad dice roll.
I just find it interesting. I don't even know.
It's not quite it's not a 1, but it's definitely not better than a 5.
It's not a fumble, but it,
Yeah.
What do we got on there, bud?
What we got? What? Shannon says, "Thank you. I wasn't embarrassed by that at all." We'll wait till later. We have your never mind.
Birthday present.
But yeah, sure. Oh, what's that?
That's the birthday present.
What does it say?
Don't worry about it.
Is it backwards?
Don't worry about it. Spoiling surprise.
Oh, it's written in some language I don't understand. Cool. So let's move on to the discussion one, which is the man himself, Dave Pickerel, who helped the boys in Metallica make this whiskey. And a lot of it Jason has already touched on in the history of the whiskey, but Just real quick, Dave was born August 14th in 1956, and unfortunately, he did pass away November 1st.
That made him 6'2",
Don't ask me the math.
somewhere
I'll
around.
say it's
there.
at least 12.
He's at least
He
12.
was at least 12, but shy of 90. He was the master distiller at Maker's Mark for 14 years.
It's a long tenure.
That is a long tenure. In 2009, he created and was appointed the master distiller of Whistle Pig.
Another spicy. See, that's the thing. I think he's definitely. I'm getting spicy from this
Yeah.
guy.
And this kind of shocked me a little bit because I'm like, well, one, I didn't even know who the dude was, but then again, 11 months ago, I really wasn't up to snuff on what whiskey really was either. But he is credited for bringing rye back to America,
Right.
and I was like, wow, that's a pretty bold.
That's a bold
That's
statement.
a pretty bold statement. And I've had Dad's Hat, which to me, so
rye.
far, is
Good rye.
the best tasting rye that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Well, I'm not going to argue what I read on the internet because we all know that's true.
That's right.
And then the only other thing I have here is he was the master distiller in 2010, and I'm going to assume until the present, from Hill Rock Estate Distillery. So the man had a lot of accolades. Excuse me. And more than once in my searches on him, the same phrase kept popping up all over the place, and that he was the rock star of whiskey.
That makes sense. Huh?
Yeah. So he did a lot of cool things.
Did you see some of the crazy get-ups he used to get, like when they were doing the Boss Hog whiskey thing, and he dressed up like Boss Hog?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one I saw. I was gonna say it looked just like Boss Hog.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he dressed up like Boss Hog. Isn't he?
yeah. So yeah, it's not really much of a discussion topic, but we wanted to
Give
feel the
him credit.
need because since we were doing the blackened whiskey, we wanted to bring to him into a little bit of a light and kind of a memorial here. I mean, we don't know the dude, so we can't like drone on and on about it. But the article was sent to me twice, once by Jeremy
Yeah.
and then once by Mario, I believe.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make it a point to talk about that. It was the same article too. So they sent me an article. Basically, that's all where I pulled up most of the information from. But no, sounds like a really cool dude. I would love to have hung out with him once.
I've never tasted a whiskey like this.
It's so different.
It's really unique, man. It's
Like
really
this almost makes me want to go. Like, is grouse or what's the
famous grouse.
the famous grouse like? Okay, something's gotta. You know,
Yeah, right.
like, should I actually try Cutty Sark for $60? I'm not holding out a whole lot of faith in what that, we and Jason and I had talked about this for weeks. Like, we really hope the blackened isn't terrible. We really hope it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And we were trying to get ourselves all pumped up for it to make it hopefully better than what
I
it was
kept
gonna
preparing myself for James Hetfield pissed in a bottle. So
Maybe that's why you like it more than me. Because I literally came in expecting nothing, and that's pretty much what I got.
Yeah, I literally expected it to be absolutely horrible. And I will tell you this, I definitely liked it more than you guys, but for me, it's not that I have to sort of put a little caveat on what I'm enjoying about this. It's not the fact that it's a good whiskey, because it's really not.
Right.
It's that I've really never tasted a whiskey that tastes like this. That's, you know what I mean? It's just unique, you know. I'm not saying that it's a great whiskey. It's just, I'm amazed at the palette of all the different colors that are in there. Not that that's necessarily good.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
All right, it's just offensive. It really is.
I think you're getting the battery now.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the whiskey in the jar to hit me.
It's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. Would you?
Are
think
we
of
just
that?
going to keep throwing Metallica puns in
Or
here?
it's got to be the ones from this batch.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
this whiskey's as off time as Lars drumming and all of those.
Well, I don't think you have to Pro Tools it into time or anything.
it might help.
Like side 2 a load. Yeah.
Well,
It's usually as I drink it, a whiskey, over the course of the night, I like it better. This is pretty much staying the same.
no, like I
Not really
keep
getting-
taking a sip of it. And I'm like, oh God, Jay, don't do that again.
Yeah.
I feel like my throat's closing up. It's telling me stop this.
As I get more used to it, like initially it was just like wonder of like, wow, like that's
what
just
was that?
yeah. And now that I'm used to it, it's like not getting any better.
Okay, here's the question, and I kind of know where I'm going to fall on this one.
Yeah.
Which do you like better, Blackened or Johnny Walker's White Walker?
Oh, dude, I didn't like that whiskey at all.
See, I don't know. At this point, I think I'd rather have the Johnny
I
Walker
might
White.
too. I might too.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a hard call. That's a yeah.
I wouldn't
Now-
prefer either.
Neither.
That's
Is that-
true.
Can I Voss? Brought to you by Voss Water.
Voss Water.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored by them,
I
but
would
we
rather
damn
have
well
the,
should
the
be.
Lagavulin Lannister.
Mhm.
Yeah, for $64.
Right. I mean,
She will be mine.
yeah, yeah. That usually the
It's
whiskey.
a 9-year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Usually the whiskeys get better, but this is
No,
now that I'm getting used to it. Now that wow of what the hell is that is wearing
would it
off.
be bad if I just poured my tea into it
Yes.
Yes.
because it'll ruin my tea?
And that no, just like 6 more flavors to add to it. I guess
It might make it better.
it's really
Probably not.
it's still really weird, but now that I'm used to it, it's not getting better.
It's like swimming in a public pool.
Right.
You're like, what is this smell?
Right.
And by the end of it, you're like, I know this smell. I don't like this
Right.
smell,
Right.
but I
exactly.
know this
Right.
smell.
Right. You're like, is that a sag nut? Yeah.
is that Baby Ruth? Or is
The
that
baby
shit?
food or something.
If I ignore it, it'll just float away.
Hey, thank God it's chlorinated. Yeah.
All right, Jay, lead us into discussion topic number 2.
Well-
Segue me, Jay.
Yeah, we also had some even more devastating news, which everyone knows by now. We were going to do the show last night,
This is
but
so
certain
sad.
certain events popped up that prohibited us from doing so. So we are doing it now, which is now almost a full 2 days later. However, everyone knows by now, and if you don't know, get out from under the rock you're living under. But a man who was greatly influential in all of our lives
Yeah, for real.
passed away on Monday evening, I believe, or Monday morning, Monday, which I'm not sure if it was from what exactly.
I haven't seen
It seemed like it was
particular.
no. Granted, he's 95
Yeah,
or was 95,
95.
so it's not like it was like terribly unexpected.
no.
Well, he lost his wife not too long ago.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, a
and
year ago.
everyone, as soon as she passed, they were just like,
It's a matter
I
of
mean,
time.
come on, you're just taking days off the calendar. That's
Yeah.
how it happens. I mean,
Yeah.
when you hit that age and you lose your significant other, you kind of just start giving up.
You're ready to go.
And who we are referring to is none other than the infamous Mr. Stan Lee, who is most known for, and again, if you don't know this, turn off our show right now and fuck you.
Hey.
Easy. But he was the creator of the Marvel Universe. And that's a pretty big pill to swallow.
That is.
Saw a lot of interesting. Yep. Oh God.
I don't even want to do
Stan,
this.
this is a terrible, terrible thing to toast you with.
To the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Stan Lee Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Stan.
Mhm.
Ooh, Jesus.
Could have been better whiskey. I don't know. I think I'd rather have it than Four Roses.
Yeah, I don't know.
That Four Roses was worse to
I don't
me.
know. I think I'd rather have the Four Roses.
Really?
To be honest,
I can't. Yeah, I don't know.
because at least there was like,
This has a much better finish. That's what.
yeah, I guess.
And we posted something on the Facebook, just asking Whisketeers who their favorite Marvel character was, who's someone that Stan brought into their life, and we have a couple of those. I don't know if you want to read them off, Jay, or if you want me to.
Go ahead if you've got it ready.
Yeah, I can pull them up here.
Because I'm actually still having. We're gonna ask ourselves a question here, and I don't have an answer yet because I thought that my for sure answer was for sure there, and for surely it's not. So now I'm kind of like, oh boy.
Do you know what he's talking
No,
about?
how vague could he be?
Okay, that's good.
Jesus wept.
Well, we're going to ask the question that's going to be posed is who was your favorite Stan Lee creation?
Oh,
And I thought for sure that my pick was a Stan Lee creation, and apparently it's not.
Oh, mine is. Mine's easy, simple. So Jeff Cavino, Spider-Man, Jeremy Nixon, the Hulk, Al, the Thing. He has a little story. In '76, he was in the hospital for an unnecessary surgery. His mom brought 2 comics to him, which he still has today, and that's when he was introduced to Ben
It's
Grimm.
clobbering
aka
time.
The Thing. Yep.
Clobbering Dad.
Mama Scarton, Thor. She loves the guy with a big hammer. So Al, congratulations.
it's clobbering time.
Oh, Elsa's gross. Oh, why is Shannon's heart broken? Oh, no, because it's Stanley.
You kept up with the comments.
Yeah.
Shush.
Right.
So, Jason, what about you, buddy?
You want me to answer who my favorite Marvel Universe character is?
Your favorite Stan Lee creation. What did he bring you, other than countless hours of joy?
How long am I allowed to digress?
However long you want, buddy.
Okay.
This is a discussion.
It's a memorial show. We can go on.
When I was a kid, so you know it's going to be a long digression, right? Just 'cause we started with when I was a kid, when I was evading the Tyrannosaurus Rex. My parents used to take me down to the local corner store when I was like, I don't know, like literally 5 or 6. I started reading comic books. And I used to buy, I don't know, about 10 or 12 titles monthly. And they used to call me, every time I would walk in that store, I felt like a superhero because like I would walk in and anybody that was working there would go, "It's the comic book kid." So like, I mean, like they knew me as the comic book kid. And I got into Stan's world like at an early age. And I mean, I got to say that I owe that dude a huge debt of gratitude because not all of it. I mean, I spent a lot of time in Middle Earth as a kid, but I literally spent a lot of time in my mind in the Marvel Universe as a kid.
Yeah.
I lived there.
Yeah.
You know, like I lived very much in a world that Stan Lee had created. And, you know, I collected comics. I mean, hell, I still read comic books, you know? And so there were a lot of things that he really, you know, did for me. Maybe some of them even indirectly. I mean, when I was a youngster, I was like super infatuated with the X-Men. I think a lot of people are when they're young, just a little bit older. But you know, there was a part of me that I felt like a mutant as a kid. Sometimes I could really identify with that title. I think that's what underlies a lot of that title's popularity is the idea that, you know, we all have that little section of ourselves that doesn't fit in with the rest of society, so we project and identify that. But for me, a big thing is also another big thing that was a very big thing for me as a kid was I really, and this is obvious because you guys will figure out that this is no big surprise, but as a youngster, I also got like super, super, super involved in Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot of people today who are into Norse mythology and they're into, you know, trying to do like reconstruction, you know, the Awesome True movement. Now there's rocketry, all this crazy shit. And they poo-poo the Marvel treatment of the whole Asgardian scene. But being a kid and being into Norse mythology and then being able to pick up a title or a couple titles, depending on where it appeared, that sure, it is certainly not in any way in line with a lot of it, but in order to pick something up and read it and have that be presented to me in a way that could help that become real and to visualize it and to get into that world, that was a big thing with me. I'm with Mama Scarton. Thor's my favorite character for those reasons, because I just dig that world.
Yeah.
I dig that culture. I dig that world, and not even so much Thor. I love Thor, but I love that world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you got that through that title, you know. And here's another little story from when I was a kid. I'm sorry, I'm digressing.
No.
But not. There was this blind lady that lived beside us, Mrs. Larson, and I was so into comic books that I was a kid when I was a kid that she was blind, by the way, but somehow she got
She
really
blind?
she was blind. She got really worried because, like, and here's a little factoid about me that you guys, whatever, you may find it interesting. But I stole a pair of leotards from my mom. I used to wear them around when I was like a real little kid because they were like a comic book suit, right?
That's awesome.
And Mrs. Larson, who was like in her 90s then, she used to like open her windowsill and she would like throw candy out to me in the yard, and she would say like, "Who are you today, my dear?" And I would tell her like, "I'm Wolverine," or or I'd be like whoever I was. And she got really worried. She actually called my parents over and had a little conference with them, like, "This little boy doesn't know who he is. He thinks he's somebody else different every day." and then so like, yeah, then like my dad took the leotards away because I don't know, just whatever.
She was blind. She couldn't tell.
She would, but I would tell her, and then I'm like, "Hey, old lady, I'm wearing leotards." No.
You do.
And,
I'm wearing women's underwear.
And I was like leotards and a towel around me, and and then underoos happened. So those were like the
There you
coolest things ever. And then another little funny Causes Stanley story. My mom made me a pair of Hulk pants, and I know that Jimmy Iannuzzi also had a pair of Hulk pants, except he calls them Hulk pants.
Hulk pants?
Hulk pants. He says Hulk like Hulk. But anyways,
Hot dog.
Hot dog.
hot dog. My wife does that too, Keller. Anyways, I had on my Hulk pants one day, and the other neighbor lady, the other side, her name was Mrs. Evans. She was a really great lady, but apparently my Hulk pants were like a little too ripped up, and like some of my youngster junk got exposed.
You were hanging miniature brain.
I was hulking out. And, so like,
Did you sit in a very small pool of gum?
right. So I was exposing her to my gamma radiation, and so like she didn't realize that I wasn't trying to expose myself to her. I was just wearing my Hulk pants, and so then like apparently she got a hold of my parents and said like your kid's flashing me, and so then the Hulk pants got taken away.
So the story of your dad burning your comic books is starting to make way more sense now.
And then my dad burned my comic books. No,
Flashing old ladies,
Right.
stealing their candy.
right. But anyways,
I don't think I feel as bad now.
long story short, yeah, I grew up very much in the Marvel universe, and I enjoyed DC a lot. I know you and I have talked about that a lot,
Mhm.
but I think a lot of my perspectives on the world are like, I'm just that much older than you.
Mm-hmm.
DC came a long way
Yeah.
in those years in between. Like Marvel was like cosmic and weird, and you had all the
And DC was like detectives.
and DC
dark.
was like detectives and stuff, yeah. And like, I got as a kid, I was really attracted to, characters like the Watcher and the original Captain Marvel and all that, like all the crazy cosmic shit
Mhm.
and all those alternate universes and multiple dimensions and just crazy shit going on. And that was something that like Marvel offered that really was unique in the comic book world. They had something going on, and I mean, yeah, the characters the dude created, the universe that the dude created, and something else that was really cool was it was not everybody always got along. Some of the characters also had like foibles and problems. It wasn't like Superman, where like if you don't have kryptonite, forget it.
Yeah,
You know what
even
I mean?
if you do have kryptonite, sometimes it's fine.
Right, like
Yeah.
they were flawed characters too, even though
Right.
they were superheroes. And I think for me that just and some of them were misfits. You know what I mean? I think I found that world super exciting as a kid, and I mean maybe here in a little bit we'll talk. Just give a quick rundown of some of the characters the dude created.
Yeah,
It's-
we'll definitely
it's
do that.
iconic.
You want to go?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So a lot like Jason, I kind of felt myself as an outcast when I was growing up. I definitely found the nerd culture when I was young. I wasn't born and raised into it. Like my dad wasn't a nerd.
Right.
He like coached basketball and all that, so
Right.
it wasn't like I found my dad's comic books and I read those.
Right.
But I just didn't identify with sports as much. I didn't identify with just the popular crowd. The friends that I found, though, were the group that I played Dungeons and Dragons with every week, and they were the ones that I would read comic books with, and we would collect trading cards, and we would play Magic the Gathering. So it was one of those things where as soon as I found the X-Men, I jumped right in. Like that was me. And reading about the X-Men and their origins, and Stan Lee wanted to create this group of outcasts that didn't necessarily need an origin story. They didn't need to be bit by a radioactive spider. They didn't need gamma ray exposure. They were just
They were
outcasts.
born fucked up.
Yeah, they were born as outcasts, and I could really identify with that. Obviously, I latched onto Wolverine at a really young age, and from the Wolverine to Old Man Logan, he's been my favorite superhero from day one.
Yeah.
But as far as the creation of Stan Lee, it's got to be the X-Men, because like I said, it was just from that age, from hanging out at my buddy's house and reading comic books and watching Saturday morning cartoons when the X-Men were on, playing the video games and all that. Just being able to identify as an outcast and kind of wishing that you had some type of hidden power. You'd always kind of look at that window a little funny to hope be able to open it. And, you know,
I still do that.
What do you mean back then?
Yeah, that was today.
Yeah.
So that would be for me definitely the X-Men. I mean, he's done so many. Like
there's literally there's a whole Wikipedia page that's just about his creation, and that's kind of like what I was alluding to earlier in my my vagueness. Was if you go under W, it's Wolverine's not.
He's
listed.
not in there now.
But
I think Wolverine was a Kirby.
But if you go and look at he's credited with X-Men,
right?
But not.
I know he created Cyclops.
Yeah,
that was a Stan Lee, I think.
So for me, because we had discussed this, we were going to say, he created the Marvel Universe, so therefore anything in the Marvel Universe could be acceptable. But I kind of did want to stick with something that he actually created. Now, unfortunately, like you said, I am younger than you are, and you are way younger than I am. I wasn't in the comics. It wasn't like a by choice thing. I mean, I don't want to say that, I wasn't raised a poor black child, but, we didn't have like a ton of money growing up. So like comics and stuff weren't like usually high on the priority list. I had a few, but I was like, I coveted them because they made no sense to me. Right. Because like, I didn't know that at the time, there was a series that you had to buy the next.
There's a whole universe it relates to.
Yeah. So I'd be like, oh, I have no idea what's happening, but this is a cool 30-second story, Yeah. But what Mikey said in the 90s, when the Uncanny X-Men hit Saturday morning cartoons,
right?
And even my mom was hooked into it. Like we would be out somewhere, like we got to get home in time for 11 o'clock before X-Men come on.
Right.
We'd be booking
that crazy theme song it had the night.
Yeah, I can hear it in my head now. But yeah, Wolverine was going to be my immediate first pick. But then when I saw that like he wasn't on the list, I wanted to go further. And so most of my connections to the Marvel Universe, and I say unfortunately not because it's a bad thing, but it's kind of I feel left out because I didn't follow along with it as a kid. My major exposure was the movies. Right. And I mean, aside from X-Men, like I said, I watched the cartoon, so I was privy to that and a lot of that story. But as far as, because then my next choice was, well, Nightcrawler has always been like my second favorite. And my second favorite X-Men, which is kind of funny in itself because he's an overly religious and Catholic.
He's Italian.
But he is also the spawn of a demon.
Right.
So it's kind of like, yeah, a dude can teleport.
So why don't you pick the demon? Azazel or whatever.
Yeah.
Mephisto or
But so my choice is going to come from modern television at this point.
Oh, by the way, Rick called the jerk reference that you had. Oh, he texted me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he get it? I was raised a poor black child.
he's gonna find his special. We'll leave that one out.
Somebody hates these cans.
He hates those cans.
as a current theme in television right now, like I'm really super excited. Like I can't wait for the next season of Daredevil.
Dude, right on. Daredevil's a great
And
comic. too.
I have never read those comics. I will say that for up front.
Yeah.
I know that the Netflix show is again loosely following the
Yeah.
what's going
But
on.
that just speaks miles to the world that he created.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you're able to get not just the comic book medium, you're able to get cartoons, you're
Right.
able to get television shows,
Right.
movies, all of such a
Major
high caliber.
budget films.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there was definitely a rough patch in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, look at Howard the Duck. People are just like,
Hey, no, just kidding.
people are like, will refuse to accept that that's a Marvel franchise. But
Right.
it is.
It's awesome. Well, Marvel got weird.
Yeah,
I mean-
of course. And that's the beauty of Marvel. I mean, look at the Guardians of the freaking Galaxy,
Weird,
for God's
man.
sake.
Yeah.
They are an A-list group right now, and they started as
Not
Z.
even
Yeah.
they were like a Z comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Howard
so
the
with-
Duck, yeah.
Yep.
with the rise of the Netflix series,
Series.
they
Series.
series Daredevil's definitely come to one of my forefronts, and even
You like Batman a lot. I mean, you know,
I do.
I mean, he's not quite as much of a ripoff of Batman as Moon Knight was. I don't know if you remember Moon Knight.
no.
Moon Knight was like bad. Like it was like, wow, Marvel, man, you're like just pretty much trying to do Batman.
Really?
But I mean, you like that kind of character.
I do. And I've said it many times before. Like I'll always pick DC over Marvel.
Right.
Just Marvel.
Marvels. Yeah.
Just because of my love of Harley Quinn.
Right.
But I just like the fact that DC has always been just darker. No, it's not necessarily always been better.
Yeah, I
But
don't know if
just
it's
that-
always
I
been
would say
darker.
always darker, because
I
look at
wouldn't.
Superman, the golden child.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like a lot of dark
He got
shit.
beat by Ben Affleck.
There's a lot of dark shit in Marvel too. I just think you haven't gotten there.
Yeah,
There's a lot of it.
yeah. I'm not gonna say that there's not. But whatever. It's
I
just-
think one of the things that you brought up is very interesting. That maybe not what Mike had going on, but you had mentioned your mom. You got to share that with your mom. Like, let's
Mhm.
go see that. It's very funny because like my dad, who ended up burning all my comic books, as we recounted on an earlier episode. It's weird. I would have never pegged him, but that was something that we shared. Like he'd give me money, I'd go buy comics, and then he would read them and we'd talk about them, and he always he tended to gravitate towards Spider-Man and
yeah.
the Savage Sword of Conan. I think he was just into the TNA on that one. But like that's kind of cool when that bridges a gap too. You had that
Mhm.
experience with your mom. That's pretty cool.
And not that I, talk about him with any kind of fondness or regularity, but my dad, he once told me that his favorite was Spider-Man because out of all the superheroes, he got tired.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't kind of like a Batman where, he didn't have super stamina. He had, the senses and stuff and a little bit of extra strength, but he would still get tired.
And that's pretty interesting. That's like a dad appreciation thing. The reason my dad appreciated Spidey so much, I think, is because he was always so outclassed. And I mean, not always, but more often than not, he found a way to win, to make it work. And that's just like something I think like an old man appreciates. Like
Yeah.
he gets tired and
That's weird that 3 out of 3 of our dads said Spider-Man.
yeah,
I wonder what that's about.
it must be like, I don't
Well,
know.
Use the term dad loosely.
3 out of 3 of the people who sired us.
Right.
Thank
The
you.
biological donors.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Well, I don't even want to
sperms-
go there because that's not true.
The sperms.
That's a
from
whole.
which
That's a
we
whole other
came.
show. I'm not going to get into that.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of one of those like, and I don't want to say like I really enjoy Spider-Man, and I have for a number of years.
yeah. And
I
think
even
he's-
read a few of those weird like standalone novellas that were like
yeah.
100 or so pages.
Spidey rules.
And so I mean, there's a lot there. And speaking of which, let's read some of those.
Yeah.
Some of the
Real quick before, while you look that up,
Yeah,
I
go
want
for
to
it.
just ask something to you guys. Do you think that the cameos are done, or do you think they're going to still find a way to honor him like they did in Deadpool? even though
Okay.
they couldn't get a.
So
there's actually they said that he's had another.
I know that he filmed his Avengers one, and
Right.
I'm sure he filmed 1 or 2 others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a few in the can.
But I mean, talking down the line, I mean, it's been happening since
I hope they
Avengers. Iron Man.
don't. Yeah. I don't want to put it. I hope they don't just like Grand Moff Tarkin him in there.
Right. I'm hoping it's more of like a Deadpool 2 situation.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
I mean, he had graffiti in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wasn't able to
Yeah.
make that.
And
That
I
would
think
be awesome.
that the guys at Marvel are going to do. They're going to continue to do that. He's going to be in every movie. It's just going to be like the graffiti scene, or
Right.
whether it's they're standing and there's a shot of their feet and a piece of paper blows by and Stan's face is
Right.
on.
Right. Yeah.
He's going to be somewhere. I don't think they're going to let that go.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope not. Really.
Yeah, I don't either because and there was also something I shared on my wall here. Let me try to find that real quick. Here it is. One day, sooner than you expect, given the man's age, he's in his 90s. Remember, you'll be sitting in a movie theater watching a superhero movie from Marvel, just as you've done lots of times before. But this time, it's different. This time, there was no cameo by Stan Lee, and there won't be any more cameos in Marvel movies ever again. This time, the words, "in loving memory of Stan Lee," will appear on the screen. And when you see these words, you're going to start crying like a baby. You know you will, and so will I. I was like, yeah, probably. Yeah, that's for sure. There's literally there are 2 pages. The following 200 pages in this category, approximately 362 in total, may not reflect recent changes, but there are literally, like I just said, 200 pages worth of characters that he has created.
And before you get into that, I was reading a couple articles, and I had heard this before, that there are people out there that'll kind of try to disparage Stan Lee, call him kind of like I don't want to say a bad person, but basically call him out on the fact that he takes credit for creating the Marvel Universe when he actually shares that honor with Jack Kirby and those guys. But an argument and something that I read that I agree wholeheartedly with is, how many times before you just stop correcting people on that? Do you have to correct people every time that they say, well, how do you feel about creating X? How do you feel about creating X? Well, it was really a joint effort with Jack Kirby. It was and he used that voice to create positivity in the world.
He did. And you know what else too, man? Like, you can't remove him from that equation, even if you want to give somebody else credit. He still did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and he was a hell of a face for that franchise.
He sure was.
For that universe.
I don't want to get into this topic, but I mean, he even got screwed out of that company in the 90s and still continued.
Yeah.
He could have become a bitter old bastard, and he still continued to be a good face for it.
Because he loved his world.
Because he loved his world. He didn't want to disparage his world.
Yep.
He was that tied to it.
Into his 90s, he was still going to conventions.
Right.
You don't do that because you're resting on your laurels. You do that because you love your fans and you love your world.
Right.
There is literally I don't know, maybe if I just pick 2 or 3 out of each. In the A's, of course, there's Ant-Man, Avengers, which is kind of a lump sum, Ancient One, Amphibian, Acrobat, Beast, Black Panther, Black Widow,
ass.
Who's that? Which hero is that?
Black Widow.
Oh, I thought you said dat ass.
I did.
I was trying to think of which hero that was. I can
That's
tell
why
that
everybody likes.
And-
Captain Marvel, Peggy Carter, Catwoman.
No Captain America though.
Nope,
That was somebody else. Yeah.
not
was
there.
Jack.
If
Cyclops,
it wasn't him, it was Jack. I mean, this is the way it was.
Daredevil, Diablo, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom,
Doctor Strange. What a great
Dormammu.
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 I've come to bargain. Enchantress, which is kind of funny.
Simon and Kirby.
That's Asgardian stuff there.
Yeah. Executioner, Egghead. The Fantastic Four. Sorry. Fantastic Four. Wow. Nick Fury. The Frightful Four. Galactus. Groot. Jean Grey.
Groot started as an enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Started as a villain.
Hawkeye, Hermes, Hogan, Hulk, Human Torch, Human Cannonball, Iceman, Invisible Woman, Iron Man.
Val Kilmer, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Iceman.
Yeah.
That's cool. Val
Yeah,
Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
And then he created the Top Gun universe. We got a message on there, Jay. What's it say?
Shannon says Black Widow does have the nicest ass of all. Good call.
Strongly disagree. I like Hulk's ass much more.
Wow, yeah.
I like
but
it.
red, green, or gray Hulk. You know what I mean?
Purple.
Purple Hulk.
Ooh.
Spider Woman always had it. She had it. She was largely butt
Edwin Jarvis,
Jarvis.
Juggernaut, Junior Juniper. I don't even know who that is. I don't know. Kingpin, Kree, Kid Colt. There's just so many here. Loki, Man Beast, Man Thing, page 2.
Created page 2.
Captain Marvel. There's an actual distinction there.
That was, yeah, that's.
There's so many M's. Molecule Man, Molecule Man.
Molecule Man.
Molecule
Man.
It's a Murad. Mysterio, Nightmare, Foggy Nelson.
They listed Foggy
Foggy.
Nelson.
Hey, it's from Daredevil. Leave him alone. Doc Ock, Karen Page, Pepper Potts, Puppet Master, Hank Pym, Quicksilver, Rawhide, Red Ghost, Rhino, Robbie Robertson, Thunderbolt Ross. Not the guy that ends up being Thor?
No,
No?
that's Hulk stuff.
No. Sandman, Scarlet Witch.
You're thinking Donald Blake.
Yeah, whatever. She-Hulk, Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer was cool.
Cosmic, man.
I always liked Silver Surfer.
In the original Infinity War, he was the harbinger.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
of
Instead
Thanos.
of Hulk coming
Yeah.
through the ceiling, it was supposed to be Silver
They
Surfer.
don't have the rights to Silver Surfer.
No.
so
And
they
that's
come-
the biggest. That's my biggest issue with the whole
yeah.
Marvel universe is there's so many
So split
intellectual properties that they'll eventually all be under the same umbrella. But could you imagine what's going on right now with the Fantastic Four being involved?
Dude, that's the
With
thing.
X-Men being
Yeah, I
there.
mean, because they're there.
Yeah,
I mean, they're there.
yeah.
Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy. So the Supreme Intelligence. T'Chaka, Thor. Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
He doesn't even get a last name, just Uncle Ben. We have Rice, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
Vanisher, Volstagg,
That's Asgard stuff.
Wasp, Mary Jane Watson, Wonder Man, the Rekka, the
The
X-Men, Professor X, Zemu, I don't know anybody. Yondu. Well, we know Yondu. And Z, there's nobody in Z that I recognize. Zeus, there you go. So that's just a small sample. There's like
That's a really small.
yeah. You could do so much on that and just be blue in the face. But that's the man's done a lot of cool things.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he really. I mean, I don't know. He's a big part of my world. I'm
He
glad
just
he
made
was-
it okay to be a nerd.
Yeah, he did. He celebrated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he never changed his glasses. And there's also, just real quick, if you want to check out a lot of amazing artwork that'll probably make you cry, go do just a quick Google search for like goodbye comics or pieces of art to Stan Lee.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah, there's some tearjerkers.
Yeah, some really, really good ones out there.
I literally, like, last night sat down. I was going to write him a little ode, a little poem, and I'm sure I still will. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but man, it was hard because I didn't get too much to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I going to do? I don't know. Okay. Well, I don't know what else more we can say about it aside from thank you, Stan, for
Yeah, seriously.
let's not one last toast, but for this evening anyway, final toast to Mr. Lee. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Well, I think that officially starts the close of the episode. Let's.
Do you want to skip the what are you listening?
No,
to?
we're not.
I thought we
gonna-
ditched that.
No. For those of you listening to the podcast at home on your podcast station, we do apologize. Last week I was rolling without any notes to base my show off of, and I kind of forgot to do the "What are you listening to" this week.
He wrote a 1.
I did. I rolled a
You
one. I
fumbled.
fumbled it bad. It was terrible. Those who watched at home on the YouTube live, they at home whatever.
The dome.
They did get to see what are you listening to this week. We tried to pipe it back into the episode, but for whatever reason, the computer just wasn't cooperating with us. So whatever. So we do apologize. Our
We
picks,
posted it, though. Right?
yeah, our picks were put on the playlist. They were updated on the official list. But so, oops, sorry, we're not all perfect. So for this week, however, with what are you listening to this week, which you can find on Spotify along with our podcast.
We're not homeless.
That's not my. What are you listening to? Whatever that was, that's not it.
I'll start because I'm going to. My pick this
Jay,
week.
why don't you start?
Okay, I'm going to. My
Hey
pick.
Jay, why don't you start?
I think I should.
Cool.
It's a good call.
What do you think, Jason? Should Jay start?
Jay, hold on. No, Jay should start.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
I got to see Bohemian Rhapsody, and
So you're picking Rush this week.
I am picking Rush. It's quite a coincidence. And it was a really great movie. A few things I could say about it, but I'm not going to. It's just it really sparked my interest in Queen again, and I've been listening to. I purposely set out to listen to the stuff that I wasn't familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm not going to pick one of those. But I've got through about 5 or 6 albums so far since I've seen the film. And I keep going back to the very first record, the Queen album, with their main hit, the first big hit off of that, which was, I believe, Keep Yourself Alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's walking around. Keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Go ahead, Jason. Why don't you read your pick tonight?
Oh!
Oh, I did it.
That's pretty good.
I wasn't sure you weren't going to shoot me there for a second. You had that look.
That's pretty good. My pick comes out of some guitar lessons I've been giving kids. Maybe I shouldn't say this in a public forum. I don't know. They'll probably shut me down. But I had a couple kids this past week that they just, we're working on some tremolo picking, and you need to do some things. So I figured if we're going to teach some kids some iconic black metal riffs, I busted out the album is Emperors in the Night Side Eclipse, and the song that I'm going to pick is I love this title too. I'm not mispronouncing this. This is the title of the song. It is I Am the Black Wizards.
Nice.
So
Who is it?
Emperor.
Okay.
And the song is I Am the Black Wizards. Yeah.
They
Right.
did great.
What was the album?
In the Night Side Eclipse. It's just like, it's one of the most iconic black metal riffs of all time. Like, if you are a connoisseur of black metal, you need to know that song. And if you are a
the
guitar
Black Wizards.
yes. Hey, their English is better than my Norwegian. So, but yeah, if you're going to learn it, you got to know that song. You got to know how to play that riff.
Cool. Mike.
So actually, it's crazy because speaking of black metal, what are you listening to this week is I've been listening to the Billie Holiday channel on my Pandora, which has
I see
nothing
what
to
you
do
did
with
there.
black metal at
Yeah.
all. It's the exact opposite. But yeah, I've been in the mood for some like oldies, some crooners, some of that stuff.
Cool.
So it's got like I've tuned it so that it has the Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Frank
Mhm.
Sinatra, and the Rat Pack, and all that. But I'm gonna do "I'll Be Seeing You" by Billie Holiday, which is a really special song to me. So
Are you sure it's not I'll Be Seeing Yous?
I'll be seeing you, wizards. Is what it is.
Do you have any idea of an album?
No.
I think that is the you plural. I don't think it's I'll be seeing you as in singular. I think it's I'll be seeing you plural, as in I am the Black Wizards.
Wizards.
Yeah.
Right.
Alrighty. Well, I do believe that puts a cork in the official episode. We thank you so very much for tuning in every week like you do. We greatly appreciate that. We can't say it enough. Little are we realizing at this point yet, but our 1 year anniversary is coming up quickly.
Wow.
We're a few episodes away from being a year old. It's kind of scary to think about. But for those of you who have tuned in since day one up to day 317, we thank you very, very much. And
Go.
oh, okay. All right, I'm done. I'm Jay.
I'm Jason.
I am Michael.
And we are the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee. Please listen responsibly.
Oh.
Yeah. Ugh.
Next week, I want to talk about Outlaw King
Oh, why didn't we do that?
because we skipped over it.
No, we didn't have to.
Well, can I hear about it now?
You should watch it.
Really? Should I? It's in at like a 4.
All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, James.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.